Got to Paul for the locker room here. We're going to be doing a season preview of the Carolina Hurricanes. The Carolina Hurricanes had a good run last season. Unfortunately, when they met the Florida Panthers, they got swept. But every single game in that series went the distance, and they had some really good overtime thrillers. But before getting into the preview, I appreciate if you could hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe if you have not already. We're trying to reach 5,000 subscribers for the beginning of the season. Let's get right into it. So the Carolina Hurricanes are looking good cap-wise, got $920,000 available in cap. And not too much change here with the Hurricanes. There was a little bit of rumors that Tarasenko might be joining the Hurricanes, and obviously that ended up not being the case, him going to Ottawa. But looking at the Carolina Hurricanes, are they good enough to come out of the Eastern Conference? Well, let's look at the forward group. They brought in Michael Bunting, who I think could hit a bit more offensive production with maybe more top six demand on him. I like his game. Played full 82 last season, 23 goals, 26 assists for 49 points. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be the Lions for sure, but let's just go with the cap-friendly. Bunting, Aho, and Jarvis should be a quality top line. Now, this team will go as far as Aho and Svechnikov takes them. Now, Svechnikov, unfortunately, due to an injury, was not able to go into the postseason. But in 64 games played, he had 23 goals, 32 assists for 55 points. He's a very good player. And do the Hurricanes beat the Panthers with Svechnikov in the lineup? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I do think they maybe win a game or two where it went to overtime because they have a little bit more offense from their top six. But Kotkaniemi, Necas, both quality players. Kotkaniemi's kind of found a very good role here in Carolina. Necas is a very good player in his own right. He had 71 points in 82 games played last season. And while I don't think the Hurricanes have a superstar on their roster, right? They have some star quality players in Svechnikov and Aho. Necas, really good production. Looking at the lineup, you have a ton of scoring. There might not be a guy that has 100 points, but lines 1 through 4 are productive. That third line, Martinook, Jordan Staal. Jordan Stahl's actually, I think, a little bit underappreciated how good of a third line center is. He's great as a two-way center. Locks down defensively, can face top line units and neutralize their top line with Jesper Fast. That's a quality third line. That's probably, I would easily say this is probably like a top 5 third line in the NHL, if not the best third line in the NHL, just due to Stahl's defensive prowess and the matchup nightmares they can create for other teams. And then their fourth line of Nason and Jack Drury and Teravainen, that's ridiculous production, especially for guys in those roles. Now, Jack Drury, I think you see some flashes there of like potential there. I think he could hit a little bit more offensively, but in 38 games played, 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points. You know, it's not terrible. Young player coming into his own. Teravainen and Nason are both productive players in their own right. And for the fourth and third line, some of these players are interchangeable, right? They have good quality secondary scoring. Some of the best secondary scoring in the NHL. The thing that this team does lack is that offensive juggernaut. Now, maybe some could argue Svechnikov and Aho can be that for the Hurricanes, and maybe the system that they play with having the defense be heavily involved in the offense doesn't allow their forwards to have that ridiculous top-end production. Barring Svechnikov due to injury, when they did play the Florida Panthers, who played a solid defensive structure against them, those players struggled to produce. Those players struggled to get through. So I need to see a little bit more from Aho. I'm hoping Svechnikov being healthy, he'll be able to kind of take this team to the next level. So they might not have that superstar offensively, but they have a really deep team, and that's where they're going to kill you. Now, going into the defense, great addition of Dmitry Orlov. He went from the Washington Capitals to the Boston Bruins. Orlov he's 5'11", plays like he's 6'3", good hitter, great offensive great offensive skills, excuse me. So Orloff and Burns, if that is how it's going to happen, I think that will be very productive from the back end. You could probably see Orloff and Burns score a ton of points. And this is where a lot of the offense comes from the Carolina Hurricanes, is their defense. Looking at the guys that they have and the guys that they brought in, like Brady Shea, Pesci, like 38, 30 points. Slavin, like who you could argue is their best defenseman. He's a lockdown guy. I don't think he's really a third pairing guy at all anyway whatsoever. But, you know, obviously this is just cat friendly. This guy is fantastic in his own end, has some offensive upside, 27 points in 76 games played. They brought back Tony DeAngelo, 70 games played, 11 goals, 31 assists for 42 points. I think him in a bottom pairing situation or being paired with a very good defenseman alongside him allows him to flourish more in that offensive mindset. DeAngelo can be not the greatest defender, but with how good this decor is, I'm not worried about having one guy that's more of just like a maybe kind of like a Thomas Caberlet light type situation where he's not a great defender, kind of like an average to below average guy, but offensively on the power play and things like that, he brings a lot to the table. So defensively, this is one of the best decors in the NHL, top 5 in my opinion. And we'll go right into the goaltending. They brought both of them back. Frederik Andersen, Tiranta. I was surprised by that. I made a video about that when that happened. Kochetkov, who is currently with the Chicago Wolves, I thought he would have had more of a time to flourish. They have him signed for a decent cap hit, and I think he has a lot of potential, but they decided to bring back both goaltenders, signed Raanta to a 1-year deal, Anderson to a 2-year deal, and you can't really argue with production. If you just look at these statistics right here, you say, well, Raanta had the better season, 27 games played, 2.23 goals against average, and a .910 save percentage with a 19-3 record. And then Anderson, in 34 games played, had a 2.48 goals against average, a .903 save percentage with a 21-11 record. But Anderson in the playoffs was fantastic. Even in that series where the Hurricanes got swept by the Panthers, he played fantastic. It wasn't due to Anderson playing poorly that the Hurricanes lost. They just couldn't have enough offensive production. Anderson was absolutely fantastic in that playoff run. Kind of, I would say, justified that he is the number one in that organization. And with how talented their third goalie in the organization, Kochetkov, is, I could see him getting maybe 10 to 15 games this season, calling him up, having like a third goalie on the roster. He's extremely talented. And looking at some of the healthy scratches like Lemieux, Chatfield, he looked really solid in the playoffs as well. Caleb Jones. I'm assuming, though, they're going to be kind of leaning towards Tony DeAngelo because they signed him. But overall, this is a very deep team. Even their 7th defenseman and their extra forward are quality players that most teams just don't have that luxury. Because when I look at the Carolina Hurricanes, the most amazing thing about their roster construction is it's just talent. It's a lot of talent. It might not be superstar type talent. It might not be a bona fide Hall of Famer type talent. But lines 1 through 4, D pairs 1 through 6, goaltender 1 through 3 even, are just quality guys that are not going to be terrible. They're going to be very solid at the least at the NHL level. I would kind of want to look at the Wolves, who they changed from the Charlotte Checkers to the Chicago Wolves. There's nobody here to me that's going to supplant any of the NHL guys up front. Defensively, you can maybe make an argument with a couple guys, but I mean, even defensively, just so stacked. The only guy I see from the Chicago Wolf roster challenging anyone would be Kochetkov. He didn't have a great year last year in the minors. 26 games played, 2.64 goals against average, and a .903 save percentage. To be fair, I watched some footage. I didn't watch all of their games in Chicago, so it could have been a little bit of the team in front of him. But when I'm looking at this Hurricanes roster, again, it's just so much talent, 1 through 4. They're not going to wow you offensively. They're not going to wow you in that manner, but defensively very good, get production, offensive production from their decor, very solid in their own end. And, you know, I could see this Hurricane team reaching great heights if Aho and Svechnikov can hit another gear. Both of them are young. Aho's 26. Svechnikov is only 23 years old. They're getting paid, a decent clip on the cap hit. And with the additions of bringing in Michael Bunting and then Orloff in on the defense, they are wanting to get past and break through. Ron Brindamore is a fantastic head coach. He's one of the best in the NHL. I loved him as a player. I like him as a coach. I like his personality. General Manager Waddle has really helped make the Hurricanes a relevant team. And I think that's got to be not lost a bit, right? The Carolina Hurricanes, while they did win that Stanley Cup with Cam Ward, right? Way years ago at this point. They were for a while kind of struggling to find an identity, and they were just kind of a laughing stock for years. And with the Carolina Hurricanes, with the past few years, and the team that they have really created, have become a respectable and one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time for a team to break through. Could I see the Carolina Hurricanes doing that? Absolutely. They have some young players that I think have a bit more to give. The defense is fantastic. The goaltending they got is really good as well. Yeah, I mean, the Hurricanes are definitely going to be top 3. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish number 1 in their division. It just kind of depends on, will Orloff bring a little extra pep in his step to help just a little bit extra offense, maybe that extra goal or two. But yeah, the Hurricanes are a great team, and just, I hate to say it, the key word with them is depth. They might not blow your doors down, but when they have matchups line 4v4, their line 4 is usually better than another team's line 4. Their third line is better than other teams' third lines. And then the first and second line, it kind of depends on the matchup. But while another team might have a really good first line that might be more talented than the Hurricanes' first line, when you go through the 1 through 4, the Hurricanes overall have a far deeper roster than most other teams in the NHL. So, yep, I think they're going to be back in the discussion. Maybe last year's sweep by the hands of the Florida Panthers kind of motivates them to get over the top. But I don't see much of a drop-off. If anything, I'm hoping that they improve. Yeah, really good team. Love what they've done here. I would have liked another addition. I think Tarasenko, while not in, probably wouldn't have his prime numbers that he had in St. Louis when he was really killing it. It would have been kind of nice to get that additional firepower with the Hurricanes. And maybe they still try to go out and acquire another guy with one of the guys they have. Like, hey, we need a 30-40 bona fide goal scorer. Those don't grow on trees. We need to try to get over the hump. So I wouldn't throw that out the window. But as of right now, roster currently constructed, this is what they go in from day 1 to game 82. They're going to be right back in the playoff hunt. They're going to be top 3 in their division. And I could see them coming out of the Eastern Conference if everything falls their way. But I'd like to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. How do you think the Carolina Hurricanes are going to fare this season? Do you think they're going to finish number 1, number 2, number 3? Will they make a wild card if you don't believe in their team? And will Aho and Svechnikov hit another gear and help carry this Carolina Hurricane team to the next level? Thank you so much for watching. I'm Captain Paul, and I'll see you in the next one.